Video games are filled with phenomenal ideas, and sometimes the grand fantasies they present us with are too good to not want more of. Enter cinematic adaptations. Now, we've talked about the top 10 movies based off of video games in a previous list, which you guys should totally check out after this video, by the way. But this time around, we're taking a shot at the films you didn't realize were inspired or based on video games. Some are adaptations that borrow certain games' plots, characters, archetypes, and even style. Others are blatant rip-offs. Then there's the ones in between that kind of seem like they were inspired and have a lot of similarities but aren't officially confirmed to be so. So let's see how many of these you guys knew about. And at number 10 is Edge of Tomorrow. Let's start off this list with some broad strokes. Many people think that Edge of Tomorrow, aka Live, Die, Repeat, is a film that generally is an adaptation of video games as a whole. It's a 2014 sci-fi action film starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. But what you guys may not have known is that it's inspired by the Japanese novel All You Need Is Kill by Hiroshi Sakurazaka. He was inspired by an online account run by a video game player who was discussing how restarting the game after the playable character's death allowed for trial and error improvement, inspiring Sakurazaka to write a story in which the hero was being played over and over and over. Up next, number 9 is INGLOURIOUS Bastards. Many a fan have pointed out the similarities between Bionic Commando and Tarantino's INGLOURIOUS Bastards. While there is no confirmation as to whether or not the film was inspired by the NES 1988 classic, it still has some pretty loosely similar plots. Both feature infiltration behind enemy lines and both result in Hitler's assassination. Up next, number 8 is Clash of the Titans and God of War. While it's quite obvious that the God of War series is a culmination of several Greek mythological media influences, including the original Clash of the Titans 1981 film, this 2010 remake has many visual elements that people felt echoed the game franchise. And funny enough, the game version of Clash of the Titans remake is pretty much a copycat of God of War. All in the cinematography, friends. Up next, number 7 is Pirates of the Caribbean and the Monkey Island series. This one is sometimes seen as more of a rip-off rather than based on or inspired by. Actually, it is just a straight up rip-off. Okay, so yes, Pirates of the Caribbean is technically based off of the Disney ride. Sure, cause that totally has a narrative, right? Well, back in 1990, The Secret of Monkey Island came out, and its protagonist Guybrush shares many similarities with Orlando Bloom's Will Turner, down to their outfits. The female lead of Monkey Island is captured by an undead pirate. And guess who else is captured by an undead pirate? Elizabeth Swann. There's a lot of other similarities in the franchise that echoed the game that came before it. Voodoo priestess who lives in a swamp, a town made of wrecked pirate ships, and so on. But this ripoff may be due to writer Ted Elliott, who was credited for the Monkey Island film adaptation that was cancelled in 2000. Ted went on to write for Pirates, and it's safe to suspect that perhaps Teddy reused parts of his old script. Up next, number 6 is the Pokemon anime. Alright, so this is cheating a tad despite the fact that there are a bunch of Pokemon movies that have come out of the woodwork over the past few decades. Many a fan got on board the Pokemon bandwagon after the anime television show blew up in 1997. The franchise started with Japan's Pokemon Red and Green games back in 1996, 21 years ago as of this recording. Pokemon is the second best-selling video game franchise to date, with only the Mario franchise surpassing it. Up next, number 5 is SNOWPIERCER and BioShock. Here we have another case of a film that shares a lot of parallels with a game, despite it not being official that the two have any sort of relation, or that the film was inspired by such. SNOWPIERCER tells the story of a dystopian society that lives entirely on a train. Earth was ravaged by a freak natural disaster that has rendered it icy and uninhabitable, and there's a massive class divide on the train / once luxury liner that humans now call home. So how is it similar to BioShock? Well, both are societies cut off from the world outside, both dystopian, both feature social class divides, and the cherry on top, Wilford, who runs the train, is very similar to Andrew Ryan, the man who built Rapture. Both are egotistical megalomaniacs who built their societies on messed up political ideologies. Up next, at number 4, is In the Name of the King and the Dungeon Siege video games. Director Uwe Boll is known for making video game inspired films and adaptations. Whether or not you think they're any good is another debate in itself, but apparently critics didn't think that this 2007 film was all that great. The film stars Jason Statham, John Rhys Davies, and Ron Perlman, and was inspired by the Dungeon Siege series. The game, on the other hand, was critically acclaimed, mainly for its graphics and fun, accessible gameplay, despite a mediocre plot. So perhaps the lesson here is to not make a film about a game that's got a weak story to begin with. Up next, number 3 is Hostel Part 2 and Chiller. Chiller was a gun arcade game released back in 1986 in which you play as a torturer who mutilates and murders NPCs in different private dungeons. So I imagine you can see the comparisons to Hostel, and specifically Hostel Part 2, which takes place in a private dungeon. The game itself got a lot of heat, not just for its excessive use of violence and gore, but also its ideologies. Rather than fighting enemies who are capable of defending themselves, you were tormenting the innocent, strictly for entertainment. And at number 2 we have TRON. We mentioned TRON Legacy on our top 10 movies based on video games list, so naturally we want to talk about the 1982 film that was inspired by one of video game history's trailblazers, Pong. Creator Steven Lisberger initially began development on TRON back in 1976, completely fascinated with the game Pong, and wanted to make a film inspired by video games in general. He said, I quote, "I realized that there were these techniques that were very suitable for bringing video games and computer visuals to the screen, and thus the franchise was born." And finally, in our number 1 spot is Wreck-It Ralph. Based on the 1981 Donkey Kong arcade classic, the film follows an arcade game villain named Ralph, who decides to rebel against his antagonizing role and become a hero himself. Ralph notably shares a lot of qualities to Donkey Kong, who in the real-life game is the villain to protagonist Jumpman later becoming Mario. The film started its development back in the late 1980s with Disney, then being under the working title High Score. The film is chock full of video game references too, especially retro ones, including Pac-Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, and Super Mario Bros. Alright, there we have it friends. Which of these surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you dug this video, hey, hit that subscribe button and stick around for some more lists. We've got a ton of other fun gaming lists that you guys should check out, some of which are up on the screen right now just waiting for you to click them. In the meantime though, thanks for watching Top 10 Gaming. I'll catch you guys in the next one.